Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to start to work on the hands and some more of this table as well. I kind of got lost in that last part, so I jumped around quite a bit. I'm going to readdress the background and things as well during this section, and then we're going to get to the important part of this project where you start to add some text to this work. So let's see. I'm just looking at both of these small little still lifes. We have that book and that Scotch glass. We've got these plates and the hands as well. And I'm looking at these hands. Just a couple of values of color here. Nothing too major. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus in on where I believe that hand would be placed first, and then I'll bring the arm to the hand. So that hand would be there roughly. This other hand's over in here. And then I need to figure out how I'm going to adjust this arm that I placed here. So what I can do, and based off of my artist work, I could go in here and I could paint over where I made the arm happen earlier. And I can kind of adjust that way so the elbow doesn't stick out as far. Kind of go through here and layer a little bit more. Something else I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring some of this brown value, some of this nice mid-tone kind of brown, and I'm going to add where that elbow is, and then that's going to be in there. So we're getting close now to just kind of generalizing this. I'm going to take some of this color from the table, and I'm actually going to work this in and around and over paint where I had made some marks earlier. And that is something that I know happened a lot with Diebenkorn's work, and it's something I can show you an example of right here. And the way that my eyes are sort of perceiving what's happening here is I see the fact that like this value that's in that cup is very similar to what's in the table. And what I imagine what happened here is that this blue value that you see sort of painted over top, this was probably mixed around the same time as this background because it's so similar. And Diebenkorn probably made an adjustment where he went boop with some paint, just made a little quick mark there, and then that fit those shadows and things on the ground a little bit more. And we talked about that in the master study. So I'm going to do some of that stuff here with these cups. I'm going to take some of these lighter, these sort of more muted tones in the table, and I'm just going to make some adjustments here around some of these things here. I'm just going to kind of try to sharpen some of these edges and things. Well, we won't really notice how big of a difference this makes until we step away from looking at this work. But I'm going to bring in some of these marks and adjust these plates a little as well. Just making some large kind of swooping sort of gestures. And I can do that with these hands as well. We can kind of blend some hands, put these hands together. Kind of think all this dark value kind of goes away, but we're going to keep thinking how we're going to address this here. Bring that down a little. And we got to get these cups in here, right? And this stuff on the plate. So the cup can be really important. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take inspiration here a little bit from what I'm seeing in Diebenkorn's work, and I'm going to grab like a really light blue green, and I'm going to kind of paint in where I think that cup would kind of be. So we'll kind of put that in there. And then what I'm noticing too, and this is like the thumb is just peeking around there just a tad, so I'll use a little bit of value that I put here, get my brush a little smaller. I'll just put a little bit of that brown right there. So now from far away, you could imagine that person, that figure that's there, is actually grabbing that cup potentially. I'm going to take a really close look at these hands as we see this darker value, this darker color here. And then we see a lighter color kind of mixed over top of it in this section. So what I'm going to do is imagine right now I have more of a muted brown, more of a middle tone brown, and I actually need to get some lighter brown value, lighter tans and things here. And that's what we're going to do to kind of get some finger articulation a little bit here, just to kind of reference like where these hands are in this space. So I'm just kind of make some lines, and I'm going to think to myself, if Diebenkorn was doing this, he'd probably be done with the hand right about probably there. That'd be enough for him, I bet, to show that that's hand. Same thing with this other one. I'm going to get some of this paint going on the top, and then I'm going to reference the top side of the hand a little bit, get this a little bit lighter. Some of the elbow and things back here too. We'll just put some highlights and other paint. We're layering that over top. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to bring a little bit of this down. And like that is going to be good for what we're going to do. I'm just going to add a little bit more there. And then I'm going to get just a tad little bit of this orange or whatever this is here. I got to rewatch this film. But I'm just going to place some of that behind or in between where these fingers might be. Kind of reference what maybe this figure's holding on to something. Kind of get an idea where this peaks around. Hands are notoriously difficult to paint and to draw, but with this sort of style, we can make some adjustments here. Just gonna kind of go in here, and that'll be that. I'm enjoying that much more now. All of a sudden, I really didn't do very much. I'm gonna take this sort of bracelet here. I'm just gonna place that in roughly as well. We're just gonna place like bracelet, boom. Or we could go even darker with some of this value, which we can talk about here in a little bit. But in the next video, folks, I'm going to go through one kind of final pass before I feel like I'm quote-unquote finished. And then I'm going to get some text in here and show all of you that as well.